All right. Next case is Koja Property Solutions versus Fantasia Mac.
Good morning, Judge.
Good morning. Are you Miss Mac?
Yes, I am.
All right. I'm going to put your name on the screen, okay?
Okay, thank you.
All right. So who's here on behalf of Koja Property Solutions? Koja Property Solutions. All right. And Miss Mack, so you're here for a petition for review from your dispossessory. Is that correct?
Yes, Judge.
Okay. One second. All right. So my understanding is that you received a writ of possession, but the money judgment was zero from the court below. Tell me
Yeah.
what's going on, ma'am.
I was staying at this property owned by a man named Darren Stewart. Um, I got the property from him in May of 2023.
Okay. And when you
Uh,
say staying at a property, were you renting a property?
I was renting, correct.
Okay. And what type of property?
Yes,
Apartment?
hello.
It's a house. It's a four
Hello? Hold
bedroom
on, hold
house.
on. Hello?
Hi, good morning. My name is Lynn. We recently mailed you some details about new Medicare benefits.
Okay. Whoever's with the Medicare, Kwaku? Hello? Okay, go ahead, ma'am. So you were renting an apartment?
Yes, I was renting a house. It's a
Uh-huh.
4 bedroom house.
How much were you
And
paying per month?
1,500. I
Okay,
paid a 1,500 deposit also,
okay.
which the court appointed for my judgment to be zero and for me to get my deposit back. They actually stole my deposit and did not give it back.
Okay, how long were you staying at the place?
10 about 10 months.
Okay.
There was no lease agreement. um
Okay, so let's not say that. There's a lease agreement as long as you're in the property and you're paying them rent. It was no written lease agreement,
it
is what you're
wasn't
saying.
a written lease agreement.
Okay,
Yes.
so you were to be able to occupy the property as long as you paid them $1,500 a month.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, now tell me why you ended up in the dispossessory court.
I ended up in a disrespect. I ended up in the court because Darren Stewart started making sexual advances, asking me to come to California with him instead of paying the rent, and I denied it. So he began to get property management, which is Koja. He got her in October, but I didn't start paying her my rent until November 1st of 2023.
Okay, and you paid on time?
Yes. They were trying to basically say that I was late for October. I still paid my rent November, December. The problem was they were taking in October because of the situation between me and him. He wasn't supposed to be contacting me anymore when he got new property management. He continued to reach out to me, so I continued to let them know that I didn't want to live there anymore because I felt unsafe. So by that time, that's when Koja came in and said that me and him shouldn't have contact and I should be paying rent through her, which she set up a bank account. I put the funds in there. She lied and said that she didn't receive them, but I had the receipts and the account was set up by her. So then that's when I just didn't want to live there come January. I asked them what is it that we can do as far as like the rent payments and going forward because I felt like there was cameras in my house that I didn't know about. There was just a lot of things going on. His
Okay.
son
All right, but
physically
hold
is
on, hold on, hold on. So, you didn't have a written lease, so presumably, you could have told them, "Hey, I would like to leave."
Yes.
Did you do that at any point?
Yes, I did.
Okay, when was that?
That was October of 2023.
Okay. And so you're suing on a counterclaim. What's your counterclaim based on?
The rent that I paid because the nothing that was supposed to be fixed in the house was fixed. The toilets cost me over $800, which the water company did look into that. Um,
Okay, so
the
let's go back. So the property of rental property law in Georgia is that as long as you occupy the premises, you have to pay the rent.
Mhm.
Anything that is you give notice about that's not repaired in a timely or reasonable manner, then you can use the payments that you made to repair it as an offset against the rent that's owed.
Which
But
I did.
okay, so you had receipts.
Yes, I have. I'm sorry, I don't know what it's called. It's called a when they send you basically like an estimate and everything of everything they did. They sent me
So
that
did you pay
basically.
the estimate?
Yes.
Okay.
Basically, he sent more people out, which I ended up finding out were just his friends. Um, like just family, his son or his friends or nobody that was actually professional to come fix these things. My blinds were supposed to be replaced. He never did it, which is one of the
Did
things
you
he said he.
did you seek out individuals to do the work?
Yes, I seeked out for the plumbing. Yes.
Okay, so tell me about the plumbing.
So the plumbing was done in I want to say October too, in November. Which he said that we could work out something. I asked him what could we do, considering the fact I was coming out of pocket. He told me that we can work it out by basically me flying out there and giving him a sexual favor.
Okay,
Um,
so that's what's called a meretricious offer or a meretricious agreement. It means that it's not legal.
okay.
That so what we have to deal with is what the court can legally consider. So
hmm
paying $1,500 a month. How much did you spend in total for the plumbing?
I spent I want to say like 800, anywhere
Okay.
between like 830.
All right. So, and what month did you spend that in?
October.
Okay. All right. Did you spend any other money to have repairs done?
No, because every time I would, he would tell me not to, that he was going to send someone.
Okay. All right. And so, what is it like? Because that would have offset your rent for the 800, would have
hmm
been an offset to the 1,500. And you said you didn't, that was all of that you paid out of pocket. What is it you're seeking for the counterclaim?
I'm seeking basically my rent that I pay back because the whole time I was not safe. Um, Basically sexually assaulted.
Okay.
Nothing was ever fixed.
All right. But you remained in the property.
Right. And also, I found out that he was also rent gouging. So his family ended up telling me that the property of the house was only $500 a month. And I was paying triple of the property.
So, Miss Mack, here's another tenet of landlord tenant law. So, a lease is just an agreement between the parties. So, it is essentially whatever you agree to pay. So, even if he has a property that would be market value $500, if
hmm
you agree to pay $1,500 and you have not looked at what the market costs are for the type of property that you are in, then the market is whatever you agree to pay. So if you agree to pay $1,500 and you in exchange for you living there, that's what the lease is. So having other people tell you it's only $500 doesn't really mean anything because you agreed to pay $1,500.
I understand.
Okay.
Um,
So
well, the rent had never not been paid. They tried to say that the rent wasn't paid, but I was making partial payments and she was accepting them.
okay.
January Around January 14th, I was assaulted by Darian's son, which I did not feel safe living at that property, like I said. And basically within 2 3 days, I had a letter in the mail for basically for me to be evicted. We went to court. I showed the court everything. I could have still stayed in the house, but I chose to move and I didn't owe anything. I just wanted my deposit back. Literally a couple months ago, I got a letter in the mail basically saying that they had took me back to court for whatever court fee she had paid to take me to court. Um, when I got to the court, that was my first time hearing about it, but they ended up letting me know that they had been filing since July of last year, which I didn't know because they were sending it to their address so that I wouldn't get the mail. So I didn't receive getting that mail until this year of 2025.
Okay, so let's talk about the deposit because I understand now why the court below issued a 0, because if you're still living in the property, even if you're paying partial rent and they're accepting that, you're getting kind of an offset for the rent, but you're still in the property. So they're
Mm-hmm.
still entitled to have $1,500 unless you spend money to have repairs done that they did not do. Okay, so we're even there, but let's talk about your deposit. So
Okay.
there's a a procedure by which a landlord has to give you notice and the opportunity to do a walkthrough and the opportunity to dispute any claims for a security deposit that they're going to keep.
Mm-hmm.
Did the management company give you notice that you had the opportunity to walk through when you left the premises?
No, I did my own walkthrough when I moved out. I took a recording and a video of the whole property, front and back.
Did they provide you with anything, even if you all didn't walk through together? Did they provide you with a list of perceived damages to the property that they were going to keep your security deposit for?
Not until after 45 days. After all of this happened, I asked literally within that week, could we do a walkthrough? All she did was give me a code to a key. She never came to do a walkthrough. I also sent the videos to her, letting her know what the property looked like when I left out. 45 days later, when they were supposed to be returning me back because she said they had 30 business days in order to give me back my deposit. So after 45 days, she sent me an email of list of things that were wrong in the property that actually were already wrong before I moved in. The
Okay.
property looked better when I left than when I came in. I couldn't even move in for the first 2 weeks, even though I paid rent and a deposit, because the house was so filthy and it had roaches. So
And you
I
said
had,
it was 45 days?
yes.
Okay. All righty. And they never returned your deposit?
No, ma'am. And tried to charge me extra. My deposit was 15. They tried to charge me 17.50. And his family let me know that he never had anybody professional come in there, that his son just painted the floor. He told me that the floors were redone and renewed. That's why I couldn't move in, because technically I was supposed to move in June. May, June. No, I was supposed to move in April. So I couldn't move in because he said he was getting the floors done. But his son and family let me know that he never got the floors done. He just got a finish, like a polished paint over the floors. And he charged me for that. This person, Darren, he also, his previous owners before me took him to Clayton County in court for the property. Also, that's why he's not doing it in his name. He got a management
All
team.
right. So, Ms. Mack, all right. So what you've provided the court is because the management company has failed to appear, you've provided undisputed claims of the management's failure to adhere to OCGA 24, I'm sorry, 44-7-35 with respect to security deposits. So that the code section is 44-7-30 at SEC. So all of those things that have to do with the security deposit. If your security deposit was $1,500, they did not give you the account for an escrow account that your deposit was deposited in. They did not do a walkthrough within 30 days of you leaving. They did not provide you a list of the damages for which they claimed that they were keeping the money. Then you're entitled to 3 times the security deposit. So you're entitled to have $4,500.
Okay.
The court is going to grant you a judgment in the amount of $4,500 against the landlord in this case.
Thank you
All
so
right, so
much.
we'll present that order and we'll send it to both parties. But just a couple of things, ma'am, please remember that a lease is just a contract. So whatever the terms are in the lease, you can negotiate on your own behalf, and you're also not bound by just what they tell you. If you do your research and the market is different, then if they're not willing to negotiate, you may want to go elsewhere. But as long as you're in the property, they are entitled to have rent paid. Okay.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that knowledge.
All right. I try because I know a lot of people are in the situation and they don't they're either they're coming from other jurisdictions or they're going by generally what is happening with them, but they don't have a sense of what the law requires.
Thank you
All
so
right.
much. I'm learning. I'm trying.
No problem. So the court will grant that on your counterclaim, and the management company failed to appear, so their claim is dismissed.
Thank you. You have a blessed day.
You too.
All right. So after all of that, she ended up getting 3 times her security deposit back. So she gets $4,500 back. So I don't know. She kind of won, but the other the landlord didn't show up for court. So you don't show up for court, you don't get all that back. So let's jump over to Judge West. Judge West in Beaumont, Texas. Let's see what she got.
All right, Mr. Hill, in each of your cases, I'm going to find that you entered your pleas of guilty freely and voluntarily. Find that you're mentally competent and you understand the nature and the consequences of your pleas. Find sufficient evidence in each case to find you guilty. However, I'm going to reset your cases so that the probation department can do a pre-sentence report. That will give me more information about you, your cases, and we'll come back at a later date for sentencing.
Yes, ma'am. Could I motion for a waiver?
No, we're not going to, there's no waiver in a first-degree felony of pre-sentence report. I'm going to get that report. I'm also not going to adjust your bond at this amount based on the nature of these offenses until I see what those that report looks like.
And Your Honor, I want to address something the court's going to see and going to ask me about
Okay.
in about 5 or 6 weeks. His jail disciplinary history is about as bad as you'll see. That needs to be immediately addressed. I anticipate asking the court for some programs to address his behavior, but I want to let the court know and let him know he's threatening guards, spitting on guards, threatening to dash guards, dashing other inmates, literally climbed the walls of the day room while they tried to place him in restraints.
He's a part of your claim, Sean.
Let me tell you something real quick, Mr. Hill, all right? And this isn't going to be some negotiation and talk back and forth. You need to listen very carefully to what I'm about to say. If you have another incident report between now and when you come back for sentencing, I am not required to accept this plea agreement. I don't have to. We can let a jury decide if they think a probation is what you need for an aggravated robbery and an aggravated assault. Because my guess is they might not. They would just go ahead and send you to prison, especially because at a trial, they will see the same things that I see at sentencing, which is every one of those incident reports from the day you got in. That jury will see that. I will see that.
Yes, ma'am. They haven't given me an option to wait.
What did I tell you? This isn't that. Those officers out there are doing their jobs. They're trying to go make a living and go home to their families.
Contrary to-
Hold on. I'm telling you right now. Stop talking. That's your second warning. I can reject these right now. We can set your trial. Is that what you want to happen? Then stop talking. I told you this today is just going to be a listening thing. I have a feeling that's part of your problem in jail is because you won't just sit and listen. You are there because of your actions. They are doing their jobs. Grow up because you're in big boy court. You're a grown man now for our purposes. And stop acting like a little heathen out in our jail. Or we will let a jury decide what to do with you. It's that simple. You can go back with the bailiff. Well, here we go again, I think. You're Dante Caddy?
Yes.
Mr. Caddy, you were previously in court and entered pleas of true to counts 1, 2, 3, and 4 in a motion to revoke your unadjudicated probation. You're on probation for burglary of a habitation. It was a 7-year deferred probation. I have received the updated pre-sentence report, and has everyone had an opportunity to review that report?
Yes, Your Honor.
So there was no agreement reached. Ms. Holmes, you may proceed.
Thank you, Your Honor. I've discussed this MTRP with Mr. Caddy. He has pled true to the violations involving the thefts that occurred at Target location in Port Arthur. Your Honor, Mr. Caddy has also had the opportunity in the past to successfully complete the ISF program. In 2023, he did complete, I believe, both tracks of ISF, which shows that he can make appropriate decisions and follow directions and complete tasks that are given to him. Within the last year, he obviously made bad decisions in which he committed these thefts at the Target location. Mr. Caddy is asking for another opportunity to be continued on probation. We do see that the recommendation from the department, it states that the revocation is recommended. However, if the court elects to continue Mr. Caddy on probation, that he remain off the premises of Target and that this be reviewed in 3 months to monitor any progress. Your Honor, we are asking that he be given that opportunity to show that he can make progress. Since being placed on probation, he has got married. His wife is here today, as well as he does have his mother at this time is very sick and ill, and he does help to take care of members in the household. Your Honor, Mr. Caddy would also like to address the court as to this situation, but we are asking that he be provided the opportunity. We see that he obviously has been afforded an opportunity in the past with ISF, but we believe that if he's given the opportunity again, that he can get steered back on the right track to make more better and more positive decisions going forward with his life. Would you like to address this?
Yeah, yes, ma'am.
Go ahead.
Thank you. I know I made a lot of mistakes, dumb mistakes, but I just ask that you please consider reinstatement. I have a lot of time. I have a lot of people that willing to help me with jobs and stuff like that. Like you said, I do have my mom has a lot of stuff going on this evening. Today, she's in surgery today. So I got a lot on right now.
So, Mr. Caddy, back when you got your original pre-sentence report in 2020, I'm looking back at that, and when they talked to you that day, there's a quotation from you. I'm trying to change my attitude and my drive to do better in life. I want to learn control my anger and patience. I think I will do good. I understand the do's and don'ts. Okay, so that was back in 2020. Then shortly after that, you quit reporting. And you were gone for, I think it was like 2 years maybe. So we get you back after those 2 years in 2022, and you stood in front of me and I'm sure said, give me a chance, I want to do better. And I did. And I extended you, added some time on your probation, and sent you to ISF to help you do those things that you said you wanted to do, make better decisions and do that. Sent you to both tracks of ISF, which most people can't even do. They don't do that anymore. We have to pick one. So you got all the help you needed for drugs, for better decisions. Completed that April 14th, 2023. And then in June of 2024, you pick up June and then July, 2 new theft cases after you've already been sent to ISF and given those opportunities after having been given the opportunity the first time to even get on probation, and then after you absconded for 2 years. Ms. Molfino, what's the state's position?
Revocation, Your Honor. I don't have much to add to what the court has already addressed.
You really haven't left me any choice. It makes no sense for me to, we've given you chance after chance, and just saying that you want to do better is, your actions have to be better. and they haven't been. I'm going to find that you entered your pleas of true to counts 1, 2, 3, and 4 freely and voluntarily. Find those counts true. Find sufficient evidence to find you guilty, and at this time find you guilty of burglary of a habitation. I'm going to sentence you to a term of 6 years of the Institutional Division of the Texas Department of Corrections. You will receive credit on that sentence for any time that you've been in custody that the law gives you the right to receive. I'm handing you the trial court certification. This was marked off, though, that it was a plea bargain case, and so now I'm concerned again. Just hold on, don't, just wait a minute, because I want to see. Double check that there's nothing. Okay.
I'm sorry.
So there was a cap of 4 years. So I'm going to withdraw what I said about the 6 years. I'm going to sentence you to a term of 4 years in the Institutional Division of the Texas Department of Corrections. Mr. Caddy, you can tell from what I've said and what my sentence was that I don't think that's enough. I have the ability to not accept this plea agreement. I'm going to accept it. I don't like it, but I'm going to accept it today. Your attorney did one heck of a job by getting you that deal. I am going to hand you the trial court certification that shows this was an agreement that I followed, and so you've waived your right to appeal. I have also handed you a written admonishment regarding your ineligibility to possess a firearm or ammunition. Because of the judgment entered against you, you're ineligible under Texas law to possess a firearm or ammunition. Possession of a firearm or ammunition could lead to charges against you. Firearm is a legal term. You should read that written admonishment I provide you to see what devices qualify as a firearm. If you have questions about the laws that make you ineligible to possess a firearm or ammunition or about how long that lasts, you can talk to Ms. Holmes. I hope you take advantage of this shorter opportunity and get the help you need to get out and make better decisions. All right, you can go back with the bailiff. All right, sir, are Christopher Curtis Ray? And Mr. Ray, you were previously in court and entered a plea of guilty to forgery of a financial instrument. It was enhanced to a third-degree felony. That was an open plea to the court. I have received the pre-sentence report. Has everyone had an opportunity to review that report?
We have, Your Honor.
Are there any additions or corrections to the report?
Not from the case.
All right, Mr. Rojas, you may proceed.
Thank you, Judge. Judge, Mr. Ray is here this morning asking for probation. I realize that the PSI, and he realized that the PSI, according to the PSI, I believe his 6th felony. He's only had, with those felonies, looked to me like he's only had one term of probation. It was revoked back in 2000, I believe. But that's the only term of probation he's ever had for the felonies. I suspect just he was in jail and probably had credit time served on the other ones. To his credit, even though he was not on probation, looks like during one of his terms in prison, he did some things to benefit himself. He successfully completed the safety program. He got his GED, and I think at one point he even he was sent to and successfully completed the ISF program. So he does have the ability, he has shown the ability to make progress. And again, he did the safety and the GED not as a condition of probation, something he did on his own while he was in prison to better himself. He's telling me that if he were to be granted probation, he's got a job, he's going to be able to go back to his previous job as an auto mechanic. The owner of the shop has reached out to him or told him that as soon as he gets released to go back, he still has a job there with him. He is the only caretaker for his elderly mother. His father died, I think, around 5 months ago. His mother is home living alone, and he would be the only caretaker for her since the father has passed away. It looks to me like he also has a case out of Harris County that he's currently on probation for. I talked to him about that. He says he's spoken with somebody from Harris County. They're not going to revoke him. I think there was a felony that came up after that probation, but they're not going to revoke him based on that. So he still is on probation in Harris County. And according to this PSI, at least he's a low risk for revocation on the probation. So we're asking the court to consider all that and grant them a term of probation.
All right, thank you. Ms. Malfino?
Judge, based upon my review of the underlying case in which he was attempting to pass a $20,000 forged check, which I assume had to be some kind of connection to the person at that business for him to get his hands on that check. based upon that and his criminal history, I just can't in good faith agree with probation being satisfactory in this case. He's continued to commit the same type of offenses after this offense, and my read of it is that he's currently on parole, not on probation, and I feel like upwards of a 5-year sentence.
It looks like I think the way I read it, he's on parole and probation
I believe that's.
for 2 felony offenses that were committed after this one was committed, and this one was committed after 3 felonies convictions. I mean, Mr. Ray, really, what Mr. Rojas said about you going to SafeP in the past and bettering yourself is great. And the fact that you went to ISF just in 2019 and that after that, I mean, it kind of totally just diffuses his whole argument, and he's trying to pull out anything to help you. And I appreciate he's doing that, and you should too. But all it does is point out to me that you have all the tools and you continue to break the law. And the same thing of forgeries and burglary and fraudulent use of possession. I mean, it's just stealing from people or places. And I agree with Ms. Malfino. I can't in good faith put you on probation. It doesn't make any sense to me whatsoever. I'm going to find that you entered your plea of guilty to forgery of a financial instrument freely and voluntarily. Find sufficient evidence to find you guilty, and at this time find you guilty of that. Sentence you to a term of 5 years in the institutional division of the Texas Department of Corrections. You do receive credit on that sentence for any time that you've been in custody that the law gives you the right to receive. This was not an agreement. I'm handing you the trial court certification of your right to appeal. You do have some rights to appeal. You can talk to Mr. Rojas about that. I have also handed you a written admonishment regarding your ineligibility to possess a firearm or ammunition. Because of the judgment entered against you, you're ineligible under Texas law to possess a firearm or ammunition. Possession of a firearm or ammunition could lead to charges against you. Firearm is a legal term, and you should read the written admonishment I provide you to see what devices qualify as a firearm. If you have questions about the laws that make you ineligible to possess a firearm or ammunition, or about how long that lasts, you can talk to Mr. Rojas. Good luck to you, sir. You can go back with the bailiff.
All right, that one's done there. Judge West, one of my favorite judges. I got to mix her in with Judge Mogan. Judge Mogan seems to be long-winded. Judge West seems to get to the point, so we got to do that. So, yeah, absolutely, Bodie. Judge is so straightforward. All right, I got a people in court clip that's interesting, child custody thing, and then let's go to Judge Hayward, sovereign citizen. Yeah, she had that, and then we'll go to the people in court one.
Yes, I'm the attorney, in fact, on behalf of the principal, who is the resident agent. I have also already submitted forms appointing the judge over this matter to administrate on behalf of the principal. And I also submitted the rest of my entries on records. Now, with that being said, the Form 56 appointing judge.
Ms. Turner, I got to see you first.
Okay. I'm trying to, there I go.
Okay, there you are. All right,
Okay.
so Ms. Turner, very quickly. I've reviewed the information that you provided. First of all, you're suing with respect to a foreclosure, which is a situation that involves land and a determination of ownership with respect to land. That is not my jurisdiction. I'm in state court. State court does not have jurisdiction over determinations of land. We deal with dispossessories, which is a temporary situation with respect to land, the allowing someone to use your land in exchange for rent, or your property in exchange for rent. But we do not deal with whether a foreclosure is proper. So in this case, this court is going to have to transfer your case to the Superior Court of Clayton County, depending on whether this is Clayton County that's involved. And so I see you're suing the state of Georgia. Not sure how they're involved. Not sure how any of these parties are really have an interest in this case. But with respect to the jurisdiction for foreclosures, that is not what I do. Okay. All right. Is there anyone else here on behalf of any of the other parties who either disagree with what I've said or who have anything that they would like to put on the record?
So, Your Honor, this is Larry Johnson. I represent Brian Widener as well as myself. I just
Okay.
want to point out to the court, this was initially filed and I was not named. And
Okay,
after I filed an answer on behalf of Mr. Widener, the plaintiff just stuck my name and added it to it without a court order. And at
okay.
that point in time, she needed a court order. So I'm not personally, I mean, I'm only in this case because I filed an answer for
Yeah,
Mr. Widener.
intended to name me too. So, Ms. Turner, I know you have a set of beliefs about how the law works, but the way we do it here is just because somebody files on behalf of another person, everybody's entitled to have an attorney represent them. And so you can't then sue the attorney for giving them a defense. So everybody who comes into the case doesn't get sued individually. Like there are people who are responsible allegedly for what you are contending happened, but then there are other people who they choose to hire to help them navigate the case. For the people who are navigating the case and for the judges who are dealing with the case, you don't get to sue them because they don't have an interest in at that level. They're just trying to help the other person navigate the case, okay?
Could I get finished recording my interest on record?
No, ma'am. You've done that. You're the plaintiff.
Okay, well, Judge, I would like to record my interest on record.
I'm not sure what that means, ma'am.
I'm the attorney of fact on behalf of the principal, who is the registered agent. I already submitted the Form 56 upon you over the matter to
Okay,
administration
I
on
don't,
behalf of our principal.
Ms. Turner, nobody gets to appoint me over the case. I'm already appointed to whatever's assigned to me through the clerk's office.
I appointed you through my for my trustee, and Your Honor, I would like to add also to the case and ask you a question.
No, ma'am.
Yes or no?
The question that I'm not going to answer any questions because this is not my jurisdiction. I'm going to transfer the case to Superior Court and let them sort it out because land use and land and interest in land is under the jurisdiction of the Superior Court. Okay, so we'll get you an order. We'll also dismiss Mr. Larry Johnson from the case pending whatever the Superior Court decides because he's only here to represent the defendant, which the defendant has a right to hire an attorney to represent them, and that attorney doesn't deserve to be sued because they are helping somebody defend themselves.
This case is also in the federal court also.
Okay, then if it's in federal court, then it probably doesn't need to be here also. You shouldn't have a case running in two different courts at the same time. Okay, that's just going to cause confusion. And you're not going to achieve what it is you wish to achieve.
Okay, Your Honor, I know this court has no jurisdiction per 12 CFR 1500. And also, is there or should there be an investment in private residential property in the United States? Or is deposit?
That is a question bigger than any of us can handle. People can invest in whatever they spend their money on. So at this point, I think that you're going a little bit too far afield. Like I said, we're going to go ahead and transfer this case to Superior Court, and my brother or sister judges on Superior Court will help you sort out what it is going on. Okay. All righty. So we'll go ahead and get an answer out to all of you. Get an order out to all of you, transferring this case to Superior Court. But just as an aside, Miss Turner, everybody who comes in as a representative of somebody else, if they're an attorney, don't sue them because it just makes the case harder to get through. Okay, if you want to achieve something with respect to finding out what happened with your foreclosure, don't keep adding people to the
Your Honor, in this executive branch of law, I have a right to sue the attorney, anyone else involved.
Ms. Turner,
in this executive branch, I do have a right to sue them and anyone else involved.
Is nonsense. None of what you're saying makes sense. None of what Ms. Turner,
it's federal law.
Ms. Turner, we're not in federal court. None of what you're saying makes sense. You haven't established an estate. There's no trustee. You're giving us word salad. You're just saying stuff that you've read or somebody told you was appropriate. It's essentially called a sovereign citizen, but
no, it's not a sovereign. It's No, it's not, I'm not a sovereign
If
citizen.
those things
No,
work,
that,
ma'am, everybody would
don't
use
put that
those.
on me. I'm not a sovereign
Ms.
citizen.
Turner, you've made statements that sovereigns use, and so I'm
I
telling
have my
you,
trust set up, and
okay,
I'm not a sovereign citizen.
yes, ma'am.
I am a person working in my trust,
Okay, if you
not a
said,
sovereign citizen.
all right, Ms.
That's
Turner.
against the law.
Okay,
I'm
Ms.
not a sovereign citizen. I have my trust set up
Okay,
in a way that it's working for me, and I have it set up.
okay,
And that's what I'm working on, my trust.
okay. All right, so we'll get that order out. Thank you. You're free to go at this time.
Thank you, Your Honor.
All right, so she tried suing the lawyer just because the lawyer filed an appearance. That's a new one to me. It reminded me of a couple of years ago. I actually ran into a group of people that put their own names in trust, and that way, whenever they signed their names, they felt that they were signing for the trust and not signing for themselves. And so they would sign any contract because it didn't matter. They were signing for a trust, and they couldn't be personally held responsible. And no one questioned them because when you see someone's signature, you just automatically assume that's them. So you don't start to question and ask for trust paperwork. And so I wonder if that's where she's going at with it. But either way, it's the long way of getting around it. Her house is foreclosed on. She's got to go. Just move on. Let's go to people in court. She had an interesting child custody one. People in court. I put a link in the description for hers. I'm not good at throwing it up on the screen. I don't know how in the hell you can link to something on the screen anyway. So if you want to go to her channel, just go to the description. She does good stuff. Here we go.
His attorney, Miss Juan. Mr. Greiner is here as attorney ad litem for the children, and I believe is Miss Jennifer Spurlock placement. Very good. If you'll please wait.
See, when I get to be more professional at this, I'll start to identify all these people in these little blocks. That gal the gal in the middle isn't actually not a gal. That is a guy. And that stands for guardian ad litem. That's basically the kid's lawyer or the advocate for the kid. And so I got to start doing that more because half the time I watch these little Hollywood squares, I ain't got a clue who the hell half these people are.
Raise your right hands to be sworn. Other hand, Miss. Yes. Yeah, that's okay.
You don't know your right from your left? You right with your right hand.
Pay attention over here. Right hand. Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes.
Very good. All right. Hopefully we have, here comes Miss Hunter. Perfect. Miss Hunter, you're going to have to stay unmuted. I'm pretty sure you're the first witness.
That is correct. I'd like to call Miss Hunter as my first witness. Okay, Miss Hunter, are you able to hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
You are the FBSS caseworker for the Stevens children and the parents, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And let's start with Miss Shanita Spurlock. Is Miss Spurlock in compliance with previous court orders?
No, ma'am.
Okay. Has she participated in random drug testing within 24 hours of your request?
No, ma'am.
Has she completed a drug and alcohol assessment?
Yes, ma'am.
Has she followed those recommendations?
No, ma'am.
What are the recommendations of the assessment?
The recommendations from her substance abuse assessment were that she needs to enter into inpatient rehab.
Okay, and what is the issue with that?
There were several attempts, openings for her, and she declined to go.
Okay. Has she remained alcohol and drug-free?
No, ma'am.
Has she refrained from coloring, bleaching, or chemically altering her hair?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And let me back up. What substance has she been using to your knowledge?
Methamphetamine.
And how do you know that?
She recently tested on a UA and was positive for meth.
Okay. Did she complete a psychiatric evaluation?
Yes, ma'am.
Were there any recommendations?
No, there were no additional recommendations.
Okay. Has she completed individual therapy?
No.
Is she engaged in individual therapy?
Her last appointment for individual therapy was in November.
Okay. Was one set in between that she missed?
There's just some discrepancies about whether or not she's going to participate. There are appointments being missed, and then when we get 2 or 3 appointments behind, I'll notify her and she'll hop back in.
Okay. Has she gotten the children professionally assessed for an intellectual or developmental disability?
No, ma'am.
Okay. Has she made attempts to get them assessed?
No, ma'am.
Did she provide a release of information for herself and the children?
Yes, ma'am.
Has she participated in announced and unannounced visits?
Yes, ma'am.
Has she maintained weekly contact with you?
No, ma'am.
Has she told you of the need to miss any scheduled appointments?
No, ma'am.
And has she told you of any change of address, phone number, or household occupants?
There's no changes to the address or anything.
Okay. Overall, is Miss Spurlock compliant with court orders, in your opinion?
No, ma'am.
Okay. For Mr. Stevens, has he participated in random drug testing?
Yes, ma'am.
Did he complete a drug and alcohol assessment?
Yes, ma'am.
Has he followed the recommendations?
No, ma'am.
What were the recommendations for him?
The recommendation was for him to go to inpatient rehab.
And what's been the obstacle to that?
Well, Demetrix stated that he doesn't need inpatient rehab, and he has been able to abstain from methamphetamine. So at this point, it's a refer back to the department for monitoring until he tests positive again.
Okay. Is he engaged in any sort of substance abuse treatment?
No.
And you're monitoring through drug tests?
Yes, ma'am. And
Okay.
he's been positive for marijuana, but his last meth positive was in October.
Okay. Has he remained alcohol and drug free?
No, ma'am.
You mentioned he was positive for marijuana, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And when was that positive test?
He had one in November 9th that was positive for marijuana, and then another one December 18th that was positive for marijuana.
What kind of tests were those?
Those were both UA.
And what kind of test was the positive methamphetamine test in October?
It was also a UA.
And have you asked him to do a hair follicle recently?
No, they are due for another one.
Okay. Has he refrained from coloring, bleaching, or chemically altering his hair?
Yes, ma'am.
Did he complete the fatherhood program?
Yes, ma'am.
And you received the certificate of completion?
Yes, ma'am.
Has he signed a release for himself to verify completion of services?
Yes, ma'am, he has.
Has he maintained weekly contact with you?
Yes, ma'am.
Has he told you of any need to miss any scheduled appointments?
Yes, ma'am.
And has he had any change of address, phone number, or household occupants?
No, ma'am, he has not.
Okay. Are there any additional orders you're requesting today?
I would like them to both seek some type of employment, either through SSI or workforce, to help stabilize the financial situation of the family.
Okay. Are you asking the court to order them to find that income?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And are you asking that should Mr. Stevens have another positive drug test, he complete another substance abuse assessment and engage in treatment?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Is Mr. Stevens in compliance with court orders?
No, ma'am.
Okay. Thank you. And where are the children currently?
They are currently living in the home with the maternal grandmother, Jennifer Spurlock.
And are they doing well there?
Yes, they're doing fantastic there. We have the bus picking them up from and taking them to, so there's no issues with transportation. We're just kind of setting them up for a long-term stay with maternal grandmother at this point.
Okay. And is she willing to continue caring for the children, to your knowledge?
Yes, to my knowledge, she is going to.
Okay, thank you. I'll pass the witness.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Correa, any questions?
Just a couple of follow-ups. Is mom and dad, are they living in the same residence?
Yes, ma'am.
And so, because Miss Spurlock is not compliant at the moment, even if Mr. Stevens was to be compliant, that would hurt the placing the children back in the home. Is that correct?
Right. There's another issue too with returning the children home. There are 2 family members that reside in the residence that are fighting and also possibly on drugs. So, you know, even if they were testing negative at this time, we would still not place the children in the home because of these other family members that mom and dad are unwilling to evict.
And what type of access or visitation do the parents have with the children?
As of Miss Spurlock's last positive, which was December 5th, the children are not to be around mom or dad unsupervised at all. The children are not allowed in the residence at all. All visitation must take place at Jennifer Spurlock's residence with them being supervised.
And when was the last time that occurred? With it supervised in Jennifer's home?
Miss Spurlock was able to spend the holidays with them, and she's allowed to go over at any time.
Okay. And so it's not at a set time, it's just as mutually agreed between Miss Spurlock and Jennifer Spurlock?
Right. So Jennifer is her mom, and Jennifer and Shanita have a really great open relationship. There's just the concern of not being honest about the drug use. So, and Shanita stated that it was found in the residence and she touched it. So the kids cannot be there where there's a possibility of being exposed in the residence.
Okay. And so the drug and alcohol evaluation is still recommending inpatient. And you said there were a couple of opportunities for her to go, but she didn't go.
Yes, ma'am.
So how does she, if she was willing to go, how does that get set up?
Okay, so it's gotten to the point where, I mean, I'm calling Gulf Coast and I'm begging them to put her back on the list. And so I can only navigate it so much. I cannot call them and have them put her on the list. Shanita has to call and
when you're called as a witness, ma'am.
Okay.
When she has to call and say, hey, I'm ready to go to rehab. And the last time they had a bed open for her was on Wednesday and Friday of this past week. So I'm just to the point where I'm begging them to give her another chance, and she's not taking it.
Okay. So you're saying at this point in time, what she needs to do is call Gulf Coast and say, I'm ready to go and go into rehab. Is that
Yes,
what
ma'am.
you're saying is the procedure?
Absolutely. And I've appealed to her and her mom and Demetric, like, you know what I'm saying? This is the last chance you had. You will not get your kids back if you don't go to rehab because you're not able to maintain sobriety on your own.
Okay. So if she was voluntarily doing any kind of outpatient or anything like that, you would still want proof of that, and you would want to see negative drug tests, correct?
Yes, ma'am. The thing with this case is Shanita has a lot of health issues and cognitive issues. And on top of that, she's exacerbating all these issues with the continued drug use. And I feel like rehab would not only be beneficial to getting her sober, but she can get her mental health in order and be under the care of doctors so that when she leaves, she'll just have a better step. They might even help her with SSI and getting on disability.
Okay. I pass the witness, Your Honor.
Okay. Any questions, Ms. Wan?
Yes, thank you. With respect to my client, Demetric Stevens, you said that he did his substance abuse assessment and they also recommended him to be inpatient?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and so when this started out, he was positive for meth, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
But now he is no longer testing positive for meth?
Yes, ma'am.
So it's a UA with showing marijuana?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and on November 9th, what was his level?
18.
And what was his level on December the 18th?
It was 30.
Okay. And so are you going to be scheduling them another UA or hair follicle today?
Not necessarily today. I mean, he took one for January and it was negative.
Oh, January, what day was that?
Oh, I'm sorry. January 2nd, his UA was negative for all substances. So he's had a really good run of getting, not partaking in this methamphetamine.
Yeah, because that's the real clincher is the meth, correct?
Right. And I'm even trying, so Shanita and Demetric have it's her brother and his girlfriend also live in the house. And their initial recommendation to go to rehab in November was declined due to these other adults living there. They didn't want him to be left alone. So with Demetric testing somewhat negative, I encouraged him to just get Shanita out the door. You know what I'm saying? And that I would just continue to monitor him through drug testing to kind of help the family.
Okay, so at this point, are you still, is still your understanding that his recommendation is to go inpatient?
It was, but I know from experience if I forward his information right now, they would say continue to monitor by the department.
Who would say that?
Gulf Coast, OSAR. His last recommendation from his substance abuse assessment was to go to rehab. But if I was to forward this new information with him testing negative, they would say refer back to the department for monitoring at that point.
Okay. Okay. So you find him non-compliant today?
Yes, ma'am. He's not compliant.
But he is improving.
Yes. He's at this point, he's my ray of sunshine. He's the only hope that I really have for making progress with this family.
Okay, so okay, I guess I have no further questions. Thank you. Pass the witness.
Okay. Any questions, Mr. Greiner?
Just very briefly, you had stated that he was testing negative for the last few months. Were any of those tests that he was negative on a hair follicle test, or were they all UAs?
No, they were all UAs. His last hair follicle was in the end of September, so he is due for one at the end of December. With the holidays and everything, he hasn't done a hair, but his last hair was positive for methamphetamine and amphetamine.
Okay, and he hasn't had a hair follicle since?
No.
Okay, all right. I'll pass the witness, Your Honor.
Okay. Any additional witnesses, Ms. Petty?
No, Your Honor.
Any witnesses, Ms. Correa?
Yes, Your Honor, I wanted to call my client, Shanita Spurlock.
I'm here.
Okay, Shanita.
You both are in the same room right now.
Yes,
and so if you're going to be talking on your phone unmuted, we can hear you just fine with Mr. Stevens' phone unmuted, but if you want to unmute your phone, then Mr. Stevens is going to need to mute his phone.
Mute your phone.
There we go.
There you go.
And then you unmute yours, Miss Spurlock. Unmute your phone now. Okay. There we go.
I'm here.
There we go.
All right, very good.
Okay. Okay, Shanita, earlier when the worker was talking about opportunities to go inpatient, you were kind of wanting to say something about that.
Yes, I have
what's been going on
I
with
have
inpatient?
really extra information about that because Dawn Hunter, she did text me and she told me this was the last time that I to get my kids back that I need to go inpatient. She had said that they had a bed for me on this Friday, which I called and I got the proof that I called. I gave them my number. I'm on the waiting list. I can actually go close and they will tell you I'm on the waiting list. I've been calling. I called yesterday and they say I'm still on the waiting list to get in there. My bed is not ready. I've been making effort to go in.
Okay. And so how often do you call to go in?
I call once every Thursday. So Thursday I'm gonna call again.
Okay, and they've told you to call every Thursday?
Yes, they told me to keep calling because I'm on the waiting list. They said my bed, they don't got no bed opening, but keep calling. They say she said be ready to go any day of the day, but call once a week.
Now, Miss Hunter said something about that there was a bed open last week.
Yeah, she texted me too. She texted me and said it was open on Friday, and they were supposed to call. And she also texted Demetric and told them that it was supposed to be calling. They were supposed to call me Friday, which that's a lie. They did not call me. Nobody called me. No, they got my number, and nobody called him or nothing. So I am waiting for them to call.
Okay. And so when you get the call, if they were to call you tomorrow and say, hey, a bed's open, Shanita,
and I'm
you
ready.
need to come.
Like I told my mama, whatever it is to get my kids back, I will do. Whatever, if I got whatever month I gotta be in there, I will. I'm always waiting for the bed to get called.
Okay. All right. I'll pass the witness, Your Honor.
Okay. Any questions, Miss Petty?
No, Your Honor.
Any questions, Miss Wan?
No, Your Honor. Thank you.
Mr. Greiner?
No, Your Honor.
Okay. Any witnesses, Miss Wan?
Yes, I'd like to call my client, Demetric Stevens, please.
Hold on, let me get him. Baby!
He's on the hearing. He knows.
Hello?
Yes, hi, sir.
Shanita, you mute your phone so that he can speak.
Okay.
Okay. Just you tap your face and it will bring up something. It'll bring up a little button that says mute.
Okay, Demetric,
Yes,
how are you doing?
I'm all right.
Okay, so I'm understanding that it looks like you're managing to successfully stay away from the meth.
Yes.
Congratulations. So now we've got a couple of big problems to deal with, and that's the marijuana and these family members that are residing with you, your brother and his girlfriend. Do you understand that the department is not willing to return your children to you as long as they're living there?
I didn't know that.
So I think that it's we've got a lot of stuff going on here with your wife and with you, and we don't need any additional unnecessary complications. Do you agree with me?
Yes.
So I think that I would encourage you to have that conversation with your brother and his girlfriend. It's a new year, and you and your wife are trying to put your family back together. Okay.
Okay.
Do you think you can have that conversation successfully with your brother?
Yes.
Okay, because it's time for you to start working on getting a job as well.
Yes.
Do you understand the department wants you to do that before they're even willing to consider returning your children?
No, I didn't know that.
Okay, you're gonna have to be able to do that. So we've got a lot of stuff to do, and I think that you're headed in the right direction. Maintain your contact with your caseworker. And are you willing, well, I guess right now they're not wanting you to go inpatient, but you understand that if you have another positive drug test, that they will likely recommend for you to go inpatient again. And that will delay moving forward with returning your children to you. Do you understand?
Yes.
Okay, are we going to work on those things?
Oh yeah.
And keep in touch with your caseworker regularly. Refrain from any drug use. Stay in contact with me. Your brother and his girlfriend, you need to give them a time limit, okay?
Okay.
I mean, a short one, because you need to be building your life and you need to get a job, okay?
Okay.
Do you have any other questions for me?
No.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Stevens. I pass the witness.
Ms. Petty, any witnesses? I'm sorry, any questions?
No questions, Your Honor.
Okay, very good. Let's see. Ms. Correa, any questions?
Just a follow up. Mr. Stevens, are your brother and his girlfriend, are they helping you pay the bills at the house?
No, not really.
Okay. So, I mean, you're just offering them a place to live just to be a good brother. Is that what you're doing?
Yes.
Okay. So if they were to go be somewhere else, that wouldn't necessarily hurt your finances or anything, correct?
No.
Okay. Pass the witness.
Okay. Any questions, Mr. Greiner?
No, Your Honor.
Any additional witnesses, Ms. Wan?
No, Your Honor. Thank you.
Any witnesses, Mr. Greiner?
No, Your Honor.
Okay. It sounds like Mr. Stevens is largely compliant with the services. Ms. Spurlock is minimally compliant with the services. Ms. Spurlock, whenever you call over about the inpatient, are you letting them know that you are calling because you have an ongoing CPS case?
No, Your Honor, I haven't actually called and said I have an open CPS case. I called and I said I need to be on the waiting list. I had because she said I refused 3 times. No, Honor, I didn't. I refused one time.
Well, let me just stop you right there. The reason why you and Ms. Hunter are probably getting different information then is specifically because of that reason. If you tell them that you have an open CPS case, then you become a priority individual. So under their guidelines of how they receive money from the federal government. Okay. So it bumps you up the waiting list. So that's probably the information that Ms. Hunter is getting that you're not getting. You must let them know that you have an open and ongoing CPS case.
And that's the problem. I didn't ever tell them I had an open.
Okay, so when you call them back, please do that because that will change the scenario for you.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So when Dawn is learning that like, oh, there's a bed this Friday for a person with a CPS case, that's the information that she's providing you. Then if you call behind her and you say, I want to be on your waiting list, they think you're just somebody from the general public and they're like, okay, cool. Like that's 30 days.
Okay. Well,
do you see what I'm saying?
Yes, ma'am. I do.
Okay. All right. Alrighty. So I am suggesting, I don't remember what, give me just a second here. I don't remember if you asked about a date or not, Miss Petty, but I'm suggesting that the next date be on March the Oh, hang on, I can't scroll down though. March the 5th at 10 a.m. on Zoom. Are you all okay with the Zoom setting for this compliance hearing, or would you like to be in person?
It's fine.
Zoom is fine with me too.
Okay, then March the 5th at 10 a.m. And hopefully whenever we come back on that day, I understand that, you feel responsible for your brother. I completely understand that. If,
Why I on the court, because
sorry?
I said while we on the court, it's my brother and his girlfriend. And I didn't want to be the one to put them out because they didn't have nowhere to go. So that was my sympathy of my brother being here. So
Well, I think the issue is, listen, there's a suspicion that your brother and his girlfriend are also abusing drugs.
okay.
Nobody is going to allow your children, number one, that puts you and Mr. Stevens in a very difficult position because
ma'am.
you're surrounded by drugs then and you're trying to maintain sobriety. That's really,
Yes,
really
ma'am.
hard, right? That's like having I'm not going to drink sodas anymore, and somebody stocks your refrigerator full of Coke.
Yes,
You're
ma'am.
like, well, hell, okay. So that doesn't work.
Okay.
That's really hard. And so that's part of it. And then it's the whole point of placing your children at your mom's was so that both you and Mr. Stevens could have all that time that you spend dedicated to your children, dedicated to maintaining sobriety, right?
Yes, ma'am. Yeah.
And getting sober. But if it's constantly in your face, that's not helpful. And I'm not saying it's constant in your face, but if it's around your house and you think, I don't necessarily agree, but you think that's why you're testing positive for drugs still, then that's a problem because that's what's the barrier. Drugs are the barrier between your kids living with you and living at your mom's house or living at your mom's house. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
So it's like, hey, if you guys want to keep doing drugs, that's your business. You're consenting adults. It's illegal, but that's on you. Go do them somewhere else. You can't do them here anymore.
Okay.
Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yes, I do.
And I get that that you feel like you don't want to put him out. I would feel the same way. But at the end of the day, it's also I have to make sure my number one job is not to take care of my brother. My number one job is to take care of my kids.
My kids. Yes, ma'am. Always.
Your brother has a mom.
Yes.
And she raised him, and now he's an adult making his own decisions, so he needs to go be responsible for that.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay? And I think she would agree with me. If you want to be an adult in the world who's not whatever, then go and handle your business, but don't bring other people down with you.
Okay.
Okay?
Yes, I agree.
All right. Very good. I will see you on March the 5th at 10 a.m. And hopefully at that point, you will either have just completed inpatient rehab or you'll be zooming in from there. Okay?
Okay.
All right. I'll see you then. Good luck to both of you. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
I got to stop
Pass the
that.
witness.
I love people in court, but I don't like the music at the end. That's just personal preference, I guess. Yes, Jigsaw, I'm using a green screen. Yep, I'm using a green screen. I can go in here and I can change it to the beach. Change it to, here's a wild one. I played around with that one a few times. That one's a weird one. But I'm boring, so to me that's just an easier one there. Thank you guys for coming out. Thank you guys for watching. Allie's got an epiphany for us. So I just had massive realization, and I'm finally in a place for my sobriety where I'm. Okay, hold on. I can finish reading it. So I checked it. Okay, congratulations, Allie. So I've never been drunk or high, and I still don't trust myself with the money. So that's good for you, Allie. All right, we're gonna get out of here. Come back tomorrow night for some more stolen content. We plan on stealing content from, let's see, we can grab Law Talk with Mike. We can grab Old Squishy Gardner. We got all kinds of good content we can steal. So we'll see you tomorrow night with all the stolen content.
No, I'm totally fine. Like, love it, love it, love it. Can I ask why? I'm totally not angry. I'm not angry.
This is the worst.